Reno here. Been a while since I put something out. Time to give you some video. Today, I'm going for a walk. I'm taking the same walk that I took roughly 3 weeks ago. Right down the trail here to a stand I called Joshua. Now on that particular day, it was gun hunting season. And I'm going to tell you about the buck I got that particular afternoon. Now, the thing I want to impress on you before I take off here on my walk is that when I was a lad, there were no videos. There was no YouTube. There wasn't even internet. Okay, so I'm getting kind of old. Man, I guess that's why I got the gray beard, right? Anyway, I'm not that old, but I'm getting there, by golly. Anyway, there was none of that. When we got together every year, what we did was we told stories. We told stories about the big one that got through on the drive, the big one that was hanging in the tree when we got done, and everybody gathered around it and took a good look at it, because about all you had was a tiny little Kodak camera with a lens about that big and a still shot, and that's all we had. But today we're going back to those times, because I didn't get a video of me shooting the deer, but I got a story I'm going to tell you. Stay with me. So it was in the afternoon, roughly like a month ago. Dubois was here, Yukon was here. We were getting ready to go out. We already had a couple does hanging, and Dubois and I were busy skinning and quartering when Yukon arrived. We got there, and of course, as always, we get to talking and jaw-jacking and having fun. And I said, hey, if we're gonna get out hunting, we better get going. The boys said, yeah, you're right, yeah, let's get out in the woods. So I asked them what stands they're going to. Well, Yukon went to the southwest. That's kind of his mainstay. He loves that. Dubois said, I'm going to the old man stand. They said, where are you going, Reno? I said, I'm going to Joshua. Joshua's way back on the far end, about half a mile from the house. And there's a lot of good thick brush back there. And you know, them big boys, they like to hold thick brush. So that was my thought process. So I took off right down the same trail right here with Dubois along with me, because he drops off about halfway through. So off we went. We headed back, dropped Dubois off at the old man stand, and I went to Joshua. Next stop is Joshua. Now the old man stand is right behind my shoulder here. I don't know if you can make it out through the brush, probably not. But as I walked out that afternoon, I got to this place here, right about where I'm standing now. And a buck jumped up in front of me here in the woods. This is a real thick stand of white pine. And before everybody comments and tells me I gotta thin it out, I know I gotta thin it out. It's too thick. It's a lot of work, man. One guy doing all this stuff, I'm telling you. I'm like a one-man army out here, year-round. Anyway, so this buck jumps up over here. He was like a nice 8-pointer or something. Not terribly large, but it was a good sign. He was in the area. And I continued on my way to Joshua. This, my friends, is Joshua. Now, a young man named Joshua helped me build this stand. Joshua Genung. And I've hunted out of this stand many, many times. Seen a lot of deer out of it, a lot of big bucks. Been a really good stand for me. To the east is about 10 acres of white pine, semi-mature, but nice thick cover. To the west, you'll see more when I get in the stand. To the south, huge cattail swamp. Again, probably 5 acres of cattails here. That's a big cattail swamp. We'll show you all this when we get up in the stand. Joshua. Now on that particular afternoon, I got up in the stand here. A stand that I designed, built myself with a little bit of help from a young lad named Joshua. But again, my design, my construction. I've got a couple of these on the property. If you're interested in how I build them, comment below. So anyway, here's the story. I got up in here about 2:30 in the afternoon. It's a beautiful day, quiet, overcast, kind of like it is today. Now, like I told you, got this big cattail swamp out behind me here, which the deer come through there, but not a ton. And they do like to bed in there occasionally. More importantly, I watch this direction. Let's take a look. So I have essentially shooting area here. This again butts up to the 10 acres of white pine I was telling you about. Big swamp off to the north. Shooting lane 1. Shooting lane 2. This is more the cattails. They sneak across in here. Keep an eye out for them. You can see them. And you can see the thickness off in the distance there to the northwest. Now over here is shooting lane 3. There you can see another stand. Where is it? There we go. Ooh, right there. That one's called the 5x5 because it's 5 foot square. The one I'm in here is 4 foot square, mainly to minimize scrap and waste from material because it's expensive to build these things, you know. So I get up in here, I'm settled in. 2 o'clock, 2:30, time's clicking by, nothing. About 4 o'clock, right out in front of me here comes a doe. Boom, 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 right across here. She's moving slowly, deliberately. So I had been going, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 in my sequence of really searching the land over. I mean, I get in a zone when I'm up here, right? I mean, I am just like a machine going down these 3 shooting lanes repeatedly and never drop my guard, always on the ready. Well, this doe comes across here, so I put a little more emphasis on watching this area to see if there's a buck behind her. It was 4 o'clock at that time. We had about a half hour left of shooting time. I kept watching the other shooting lanes, but nothing was following the doe. So I went back to 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Now it's about 4:25, maybe 5 minutes of light left, and I'm thinking about heading back to camp, chewing the fat with the boys, telling stories, comparing notes, just having the typical fun that we do when we get back at the ranch, not to mention dinner. And I went into a 1, 2, 3, boom, and right there. Now, at this point in time, there was no snow on the ground. That shooting lane is about 25 feet wide, if I'm lucky. I see a deer pop out on the southern edge of it here, 125 yards away, heads down. Now with the snow here, it looks like she's wide open and just let her rip, but back then there was a lot of weeds and things still standing up. A lot's been crushed with this wet, heavy snow. So this deer comes out with his head down. I swing, get the rifle over, put it on here, acquire the deer in my scope. It's a big deer, but I didn't bother taking it off safety because I'm thinking, you know, unless I know it's something I'm going to shoot, I'm not going to that zone. So I'm on that guy, and all of a sudden, he lifts his head up. And the first thought in my mind was, oh my God. He was a big son of a gun. And I clicked the gun off safe. Meanwhile, he took 2 more steps, 1, 2, and he's just right here. I mean, 1 more step, he's gone into that, and you can't shoot, you can't see, he's gone. Thank God he took 2 more steps, put his head down again to sniff. Must have been tracking that doe that came around. If I missed her when she came through this opening, I don't know. But he was tracking a deer for sure. Put his head down right over here. I got him the scope shot, and he dropped. And 125 yards. I watched him go down, watched his tail twitch, and it stopped. And of course, you guys know what that means, pretty much that he's dead, but we also know that a big old brute like that can get up and just run away. Well, I kept the rifle on him, kept looking through the scope, My scope goes up to 9 power, so I'm doing my best to focus down there and make sure that he's down to stay and he's not going to get up and run. Because that'd be bad news, man. 1 little step and he's gone. And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. Well, I gave him about 5 more minutes. My binoculars were hanging over here on a peg. And I finally decided to switch up to them. Now they're 12 power. So I grabbed them and I look. It's getting pretty dark by now. It's definitely settling into dusk. And I'm 99% sure I can see his butt. I can't see his rack, but I can see his butt, and he's laying there and he's dead. So needless to say, I'm pumped. I watched him again for another 5 minutes. But now, with a higher degree of confidence, I text Dubois and Yukon and tell them I've shot the chocolate monster. That was the name we gave him. We give all the big bucks a name around here so the guys can say, you know, I saw Thurston the 13-pointer, or I saw, you know, Big Ed or whatever. Well, this one was known as the chocolate monster. And very symmetric 10-pointer, very dark chocolate rack, beautiful, beautiful buck, about a 20-inch spread. I was psyched. So of course I connect with those guys. Now they're equally as pumped. And they said, what do you want to do? I said, meet back at the barn. We'll get the side-by-side and the sled and everything, and we'll come on down and get him. So we came on down here and harvested him, gutted him out, dragged him back to the barn, hooting and hollering, celebrating all night long. It was a wonderful experience. So I'm going to follow this with a couple of photos we took, still photos, a couple in the field, one in the front yard of the house. But that story is my video right up here, man. That's all I got. I'll be living it through my mind's eye to the day I die. And I hope you can too. I hope you enjoy a good old-fashioned deer story up here in the Joshua stand at Ranger Reno's ranch. Yeah, good memories, man. Good memories. I hope you are able to live your life large, live it full, keep it simple. You have a great day, man. Ranger Reno, over and out.